It's time to speak up. This message is for Customs and Border Patrol agents, ICE agents, some police officers. I want you guys to listen to me. I have been practicing criminal law for 28 years. I spent 14 years as a prosecutor, and I've spent the last 14 as a defense attorney. And some of the things you are being asked to do are illegal, full stop. I don't care if the president himself whispered the orders into your ear, they are illegal. And I think most of you know it. See, I've worked with law enforcement officers for 28 years, and I know there are some of you out there, there's some of your number that are enjoying it, right? We know that. But the vast majority of you, you know this is wrong. You know it is wrong. And let me remind you that I was following orders has been rejected as a defense for crimes. You know the law. You guys know it better probably than most anyone else. And you know these things are illegal. You need to do some soul searching, and you need to think really hard about how badly you need that job, or if there isn't something else you could do that didn't require you to exchange your soul. Go love your neighbor.
What if I told you that over 500,000 people, families, workers, dreamers were granted a rare chance at freedom, only to have it ripped away overnight? What if I told you they vanished, many without a trace, shipped to one of the most brutal prisons on earth, and it's your tax dollars footing the bill? This is not a dystopian story. This is happening right now. In 2023, the U.S. offered a lifeline, a humanitarian parole program for people fleeing desperation in Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela. Over 530,000 people granted temporary residence in the U.S., provided they had a sponsor, passed criminal background checks, and followed the rules. It was hope in action, a chance for a new start. And many took that opportunity. Meet Daniela, a Venezuelan nurse who now works in Florida, helping underserved communities. She built a life, earned her nursing certification, and now saves lives every single day. Or Luis, a Cuban entrepreneur in Texas who started a small construction business. And then there's Maria from Nicaragua. She now has 2 children, both honor students, and she volunteers at a food bank every weekend. They were not just surviving here, they were thriving. But then everything changed. In a stunning move, the president revoked the parole for over 530,000 individuals.
We're getting the bad, hard criminals out. These are murderers. These are people that have been as bad as you get, as bad as anybody you've seen. We're taking them out first.
And now, by immigration reporter Camila Montoya Galvez to help us unravel all of this. First of all, Camila, let's start with 500,000. Remind us again what that program was supposed to do.
The Trump administration, John, is moving aggressively to dismantle President Biden's immigration legacy, and they are now in the process of terminating a process known as CH&V that was set up by the previous administration as a way to reduce illegal immigration at the U.S.-Mexico border by offering would-be migrants a legal and safe way to come here without the use of a smuggler and without the use of illegal entries into the U.S. About 500,000 people from Cuba, Haiti, Venezuela, and Nicaragua entered the U.S. under that process, which required American sponsorships from people who were citizens or legal permanent residents here. And in the next 30 days, their work permits and deportation protections will be lapsed and terminated by the Department of Homeland Security, which is warning that if these people do not voluntarily depart the country, John, they will be found, arrested, and deported from the country. In fact, the administration is saying that the people affected by this policy change should sign up to self-register on a smartphone app provided by the government and tell people that they will be departing the country.
Let's pause for a moment and take a look at the divide and how we got to this place. Regardless of your political ideology, I think overwhelmingly, most people would want an orderly and humane way of executing the deportation agenda of any sitting president. Once the scales of justice begins to bend and curve to one's own agenda, he or she becomes more prone to be above the law, and hence the topping of the republic begins. The United States has always been a beacon of light to the world, a metric by which all others seek to emulate. But at this moment in time, we are at odds with our allies and even more with each other. America stood at a decisive crossroad. presented with a rare chance to forge a fundamentally different future. Yet, we brushed aside Project 2025, dismissing it as a radical fantasy, too extreme to become reality. In our complacency, we either voted narrowly for personal gain, hatred for another class of people, voted blindly against our own interest, or tragically failed to vote at all, and unknowingly surrendering control of America's destiny to an ideology of one who perceives himself as a king, a dictator. Our neighbors who built their lives here, raised their families, followed the rules, their kids befriended our kids. They built our infrastructure, built our homes, helped maintain the roadways, provided the skills to plant and to harvest crops. The number that is asked to self-deport or be arrested by immigration will significantly push our economy into a deeper recession. The time frame will not allow them due process, nor the time to retain an attorney and no chance of an appeal, no time to liquidate their personal belongings. Apartments and houses will be left abandoned. They are missing, gone, and not contributing to our economy for fear or being seen, captured, and taken into custody. Jobs are left undone. Local businesses are missing their workers. Employers' calls will be met with silence. Students have vanished from classrooms. Families shattered. And who was taken, we don't know. There is no list and no transparency. This isn't just a policy shift. It's a humanitarian crisis being orchestrated by a reckless administration and unfolding in plain sight. And while the administration defends its move as necessary enforcement, where is the justice? Where is the due process? Where is the accountability? We can secure our borders while preserving human dignity, fairness, and basic rights. If we fail to protect those very ideals for others, we shouldn't be surprised when they are no longer there for us. When a wrong is done upon your neighbor, when the law becomes a weapon, not a shield, when silence becomes safer than the truth, that is not democracy. That is not justice. That is not America. We all have a choice now to turn towards unity, justice, and a shared humanity, or continue to let fear, power, and prejudice drag us into something darker, because history has not yet written its final chapter. And if this country is still worth fighting for, this is our moment, our reckoning, our responsibility, and our chance to turn back toward the America we promised to be. Remember, silence protects no one. We must continue to demand action, demand accountability. Stand up, speak up, and let the echoes of freedom break the silence.
In the shadow of the midnight moon's glow, the whispers rise, they're starting to flow. A dream of change, a heart that won't bow, freedom